podcast at the same time?
Well, I've just started streaming, so yes.
Okay.
Oh, welcome, guys, to the Hellstorm. Are we definitely live? No, we're not.
Is this the 25th episode or the second episode?
Wow.
We're not live. We're not actually live at the minute.
You're special
It's just
in
going
the
so well.
most amazing way.
Thanks. Oh, we are actually live. Thanks, Jay. I'm having the best time, if that helps.
I've definitely laughed a lot this evening, so that's a good start.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you're having a good time.
Yeah. Seed Studios, Joe joined us.
Snake, please, Ken, thank you very much for the follow.
Snake, what up, dude?
So if you are just tuned in, thank you for tuning in. If you've just tuned in from 2 minutes ago, apologies for me being an absolute special person. But there you go. This is what it's like. This is why we have a pre-show, Jay, so it doesn't go wrong during the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so who say the clip of Joe's phone number? I'm actually selling Joe's phone number at 1 Twitch sub per go.
One Twitch sub?
Just 1 Twitch sub, yeah.
Wow. You're underselling that.
I know.
Twitch Prime.
Yeah, that's right.
Before we start, I'm just going to double check that there's no clips. Then we'll start. Because I deleted the video, so they shouldn't be. Then we'll start. Oh, you can hear me twice.
Q says, I'll do it for half a Twitch sub. You've got my number.
Half a Twitch sub. Decent. Absolutely decent. Let's go that way. Yeah, there's no clips. We're all Gucci. Wicked. Are you ready? Are you guys ready to start now? Can we be more professional?
I was born ready.
Hint, it starts with a 44 and a plus.
Damn, man.
Dang. Welcome, guys, to Hellstorm Wargaming Podcast number 25.
Hey!
Titan was like most other supplements. Also, I need a new intro and a theme song. So, if anyone's listening,
a Hellstorm jingle.
We need a jingle. So, if you're listening, hashtag Tom B from Capital, you're listening. We need a cool jingle for the podcast, like an intro that's actually like quite epic and like, welcome to the Hellstorm Podcast, the worst competitive show with an idiot who's hosting.
It's also not a game show, so not sounding exactly like that.
And
come on down!
Oh, we need basically like the cinema intros at The View, where it's like, I can't say that because I'd actually get copyright strikes, but you know, it's really epic. It's really epic at the beginning. So
I was thinking more like theme tune to the A-Team.
The A-Team.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the wrong one. I don't remember the A-Team theme tune. What am I doing?
I love how this time round.
I'm doing Rocky. Yeah. What? How's the A-Team? Can you do me the A-Team theme tune, but not in a way that I can get copyright strike? So use all the incorrect notes, but then sing it to me.
Do 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 do.
That's not the incorrect note, so I've just got copyright.
No, I know, but I can't do it incorrectly. So the answer to your question was no, but that's what it sounds like.
Do. Do. That's how you do it.
What I meant was, at the start of the 18 theme tune, there was that little brief set of words. It's like, if you're ever having problems, if you need help, there is one team you can call.
Do.
And apparently that one team you can call is some like weird batch of Coronation Street or something. Who knows? But
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yes.
However,
tonight's podcast is all about Titan and the new Grey Knights, which is why we have Toby from Hellstorm Wargaming here. Toby with an eye. How you doing, Toby?
What's up, y'all?
Hi, Toby. Back on track.
Hi, Mikey. Thanks for... Jay's just got a professional lasso and wrapped around Mikey and brought him straight back in there.
Yeah, exactly. This is
This
is why Joe is the new staple co-host, because I'm terrible.
Seed Studio Glow is the glue required to make this work.
Joe Middle.
I am totally going to push you both down the stairs when I next see you.
Anyway, yeah. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be back. I haven't been around for a long time now.
You haven't. You've been busy in the Immortal Realms, haven't you?
I'm going to use the same pun.
It is said that someone went into the warp in the Fantasyland and met a guy with like lightning bolts and a cool sword and a shield, and everyone thought it was Kaldor Drago, and that's been Toby. Toby took
Yes,
Kaldor
me.
Drago's
There you
embodiment
go.
and went to the
It's
Bottle
just me.
Realms and played with some rats, because that's what happened.
Play with some rats.
Speaking of
Absolutely.
Matata, we're about 30 seconds into the Grey Knight talk, and as already said, Grey Knight's more like trash nights. So I think that
Terrible.
sets the tone. For
We
the
should.
evening.
That does set us up for a segue into. Thank you very much to Games Workshop for sending Ritual of the Damned Psychic Awakening 4 to us nice and early.
Dun, dun, dun.
We had planned on doing a battle report and like a release day video, like talking all about it. However, I've just been painting for the last 3 weeks. So
That's usually my
For-
excuse. But
for
you've got
the
a reason
Las
to be
Vegas
painting.
Open, yeah. So I've been painting for the Las Vegas Open. We're going to be talking about my list changes and stuff and what I've been up to. However, so there's been no battle report for this, sadly, but this is why we're bringing it onto the podcast today, so we can talk about how cool the Grey Knights are and all the cool stuff about that. We're not going to sit and read it to you, so do stay tuned. We are going to be talking about the best stuff out of this, some of the worst stuff out of this, and what sort of combos we've seen, especially what Toby's seen, being one of the best Grey Knight players in the world. Hashtag.
In the world.
Is that right, Toby?
Yeah,
Kind of said it
Peter
with a
number
question.
5.
Number
Peter
five. There you go. 5th best Grey
Not
Knight
bad,
player
dude.
in the world. 2nd best Grey Knight player according to the ITC, but actually the best one because the ITC included some souping scores.
That's at one point it
Mm.
was 1 EU, 1 UK, and then 5 world. That was the peak.
Yeah, which
Nice.
you did well. So well done.
Thanks, Mikey.
So we're going to talk about Psychic Awakening 4. I said hopefully after LVO I'll be back on track to actually start filming. I've still got 2 battle reports that were filmed in December that need editing, but you know, I'm just a terrible human being basically.
Dude, all I'm going to say is it's what, like a 10-hour flight?
Yeah, that's
Get your
it.
laptop out.
I am going to try and edit a battle report on the flight because me and Tank are going on the same flight and we've got plugs, so I should be alright. I'll have to just like leave little notes where I want to add memes because I won't be able to download them while I'm on the flight. Like
I'm pretty sure you've
add
got an
X
absolute
meme.
bank of memes saved now.
I
Yeah.
have to be fair. I have to be fair. Aceface 18118 says there's 5 Grey Knight players. Wow.
Wow.
At least 5 in the world. Yes.
It's actually only 4. One person changed their name and had to reapply. So
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Grey Knights in Psychic Awakening 4. Then we're going to be talking about my list changes for Las Vegas Open. And then we're going to be talking, if there's time, some interesting predictions that me and Jay have come up with for some of the best players in the world and who we think is going to make the top 8 and what armies are going to be there. And then after this show, because next week I'm going to be in Las Vegas for the normal show, we're going to go live exclusively to the premium Facebook group. And we're going to do show 26 tonight, if you fancy watching.
absolutely.
So another hour, and we're going to be talking about Dark Angels and Thousand Suns from this book. So if you're interested, you can subscribe and join the group. A lot of people are already in there, which is super cool. It's a one-time payment to get in there because it's really hard to track and keep people out when they're not subscribed anymore. So if you want to join in that, you want to join in the show. But if not, our next podcast won't be live, but it'll be recorded in exactly the same way. So anyway, shall we jump straight into the Grey Knights?
Oh, okay.
Let's do it. Jump in with both feet. Now, before we get into the new stuff that's coming out, so we just want to ask you, what's your typical Grey Knights list at the moment? Because what I want to do is find out what it's going to look like now, and then see after we've gone through the change in the book, what you think you'll be taking afterwards, including those changes. So right now, what sort of things you take?
What does Grey Knight 2019 post chapter approved look like? That's basically the question.
Yeah, so basically, the list that I ran before chapter approved has suddenly just found 125 free points, which is great.
Boom.
So the list I took to Amsterdam is the same as the list now, but with an extra 125 points.
Okay, cool.
So it looks like a battalion and a vanguard. Excuse me. In the first battalion, there's 2 Nemesis Grandmasters in Dread Knight armors. They are 30 points cheaper than they used to be per one. So that's 60 points saved already from chapter approved.
Nice.
Obviously, they get access to the new Dominus discipline, which we'll talk about later. But 2 Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knights, 3 strike squads, an intercept squad, and a Land Raider. I'm a massive fan of Land Raider. Still a massive fan of Land Raider. It actually gets a little bit better with the new litanies, spells. Not spells, sorry, that's AOS. Psychic powers and stratagems.
Yeah.
Well
Psychic powers. And then in the Vanguard detachment, I have a chaplain. I put a chaplain in there now because I think the litanies are probably worth taking. Previously, obviously, we had access to chaplains, but we didn't have any litanies, so they were kind of just wasted. I've got Drago. I can't leave home without him, except now, with the use of some of these litanies, you can actually get a cheaper chapter master, which we'll talk about later. So 180 points for him to sit there and re-roll hit rolls for a Land Raider. Probably not the best use of 180 points now. So that might be the one thing that I think about going forward. And then I have an Apothecary still, a Paladin Ancient. It's important to get them characters in because of the Dominus discipline. Again, we'll talk about this in the future, but you only get access to this new discipline if you are a character. And some of these psychic powers are really important.
Interesting.
So you want to
maximize.
you want to maximize how many characters you have. So Apothecary, Paladin Ancient, and then I've got a 10-man Paladin squad, which have just literally injected juice into their arms and got better overnight.
Absolutely, they are.
They are juiced up, absolutely juiced up.
They took a trip to the warp with Caldor and just smashed some warp dust, like pumped crap. And now they're just like
that's a completely
face bashing
everyone.
They've gone from super lightweight to being super heavyweight overnight, basically.
Yeah. That's
a lot of players, I think, when you talk about Grey Knights, they expect what's just being called the Paladin Bomb because you can obviously deep strike it to exactly where you want to be and all that
exactly.
sort of stuff. And there's a reason for it.
It was still called the Paladin Bomb before it was this good, and it's just got better. It really has. Really has. Nice. It's great to see because a lot of people, I mean, since the inception of 8th edition now, people have said Grey Knights are trash and no one ever plays them. So it'd be good to see them across the table. They're not, I mean, just to give an overall view of what I think about the changes. Like I said to you guys before we went live, they're not going to win events, but they can certainly compete if you are adept with them now.
Yep. I mean, you were already doing, not to like blow smoke up your power armor exhaust port. However, you're already doing pretty well with them before this change, before the points changes as well. So it must be pretty exciting.
So last event I played was pre-Chapter Approved and pre-Psychic Awakening. That was 4 and 2 at Amsterdam, which is great.
Yeah, technically you came higher than me, except for your painting was terrible.
Yeah, it was 12 out of 100 something people.
Yeah, was it your list?
You definitely came higher than I did.
Don't talk to me about painting.
I think it was. I think it's technically the list that brought Toby below my placing at the event because Alliance Open, as much as they run fantastic events, they have very harsh painting guidelines and lists. Basically, like the penalties are super harsh on the standings. It won't stop me going because I think it's a really good event, but they can be quite harsh. And Toby dropped like 10 places because he forgot to put Stormbolters on his list or something daft.
Yep, that, and just make sure you read the pack in terms of painting as well.
Yeah. I think you definitely should. For any pack, that's just good advice for any player.
Always read the rules pack.
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%. Just on that, on a very brief tangent, like the LVO, there's a lot of people that are going that are taking Chaplain Dreadnoughts. There's a lot of people that have asked if they can take conversions, but those two numbers are really heavily skewed. I was talking to somebody yesterday who didn't realise that and has had to borrow one off of a friend. So he's taken his painted in his army colour schemes and another one that's an efficient one painted somebody else's, just so you can put the right one on the table and go, do you mind if I just swap it around and stuff like that?
Interesting. That would count as borrow hammer.
Yeah, I know, right? I know of a relatively famous Warhammer personality that's taking the Primaris Sneaky Marines, the Phobos Invictus. No, Invictus is a war suit.
Yeah.
One of the box you can build two different kinds out of. One's got like Haywire Mines. Incurses are taking one of those as the other because they don't have the other models.
I don't think that's going to fly somehow.
I'm pretty certain that person's going to have some Marines just whisked off the table by a judge at some point, but we won't mention names in case it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's going to go badly. Especially with the Chaplain Dreadnought thing, because there was like a post out of it, and I got like 10 different people WhatsApp me about. Basically, guys, if you didn't know, I built a Chaplain Dreadnought. It looks really cool, thank you. I got like 10 people message me like, did you know that if you've not had your Chaplain Dreadnought approved, then you could have it taken off the table? I was like, boys, I am way too anal to not get something like that approved.
Absolutely.
I've bitched about events for asking stuff too early, so hashtag 2017 Red Booty at Warhammer World. So it's both a blessing and a curse.
Big time.
So anyway, So the Grey Knights in Psychic Awakening 4, as you may already know, but if not, if you don't, they got lots of cool new buffs. They got a brand new, essentially, a supplement section in the book. They did not get the same treatment as Space Marines did in terms of doctrines, but they did get a unique ability known as Masters of the Warp, which gives your army different tides. So depending what time of day it is, where the moon's sitting, get it, the moon, because Titan is a moon of Saturn. Did you know that?
Yes.
Toby.
Is it not a moon of Jupiter?
Oh, Jupiter. It's a moon of a planet. Shut up.
I wish I knew, but I don't know.
It's okay, because my lovely girlfriend, who has a blog called At the Valkyries blog, is writing a piece about Grey Knights, and she told me all about what they did to Titan, how Malkador the Sigil like wrapped it in some magic bubble
blanket.
And then threw it into the warp.
He stole it off Harry Potter. The invisibility blanket, put it all the way around Titan.
Put it all the way around the planet, and then just like threw it into the warp, and then like yeeted it.
Solemnly swear he was up to some good.
And then got his little like grass blowpipe and went, and then it came back. And they were all really angry and full of psychic shenanigans. Anyway, the tides. They have four tides that you can choose from at the start of the game.
Yeah.
That give you different abilities depending which one you choose, and then it's an army-wide buff that only affects infantry models, but then you can change it with a psychic power.
It doesn't only affect infantry models.
Oh, I just read. Sorry, I just read.
Yeah, some of the tides only affect infantry models. 2 of them only affect infantry.
Right. Okay, so I read those 2, and then I didn't read the other 2. Yeah, so basically it affects the entire army, but 50% of them only affect infantry. Being the Tide of Convergence and Tide of Fury. They also got an updated chaplain datasheet because the chaplains in the Grey Knights book now have litanies, so they can chant and scream and shout them in the name of the Emperor and yeeting into the warp and get some cool abilities. They also got, was it 2 pages or 3 pages? No, 2 pages of stratagems.
2 pages.
Yeah.
They got a couple that were nicked from Space Marine books, such as Duty Eternal, which is half damage dreadnoughts. They got Vengeance of this Machine Spirit, but they actually managed to take Repulsor off the stratagem, which was nice of them. They remembered to remove stuff. They also forgot to add the Dark Angel's points, Dark Angel Lazarus points, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So that's basically Land Raider or Storm Raven gets to shoot as he dies. They got Transhuman Physiology, so a Grey Knight's unit can't be wounded on better than a 4+,
which is massive.
Yeah, and then they get Steady Advance as well, which is 1 CP. Grey Knight's infantry count standing still in terms of Bolt of Discipline. So they nicked a few from the Space Marines, but they also got some very unique ones, which are really cool. And we'll be going into those in a few minutes. They got a new Psychic Discipline, which is for Grey Knight characters only, as Toby rightfully pointed out, which I didn't realise.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being...
No, Astro Arcade, sorry. Sorry, I just replied to a comment.
Okay, cool. Do the chaplains get Cataclysm Fire? No, they do not. They get 6 unique litanies, which is really cool. Some of them are similar, I believe. Like Litany of Faith, I believe that's the same one as the Space
As far as I'm
one.
aware, they're all unique.
Yeah. I think Litany of Faith is the same as the Space Marine one, which is Litany 1.
5+ feeling putting against mortals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
so,
okay, cool.
So that's the only same one. All the other 5 are unique, which is really cool. You also get the best part of the supplement, the name generator. So
So we're all here for
Smitey Muck Smitey phase.
Yeah, shall we quickly give Toby a name for this podcast?
Oh god, here we go.
It's
Is it D66?
Yeah.
I've got some Hellstorm dice right here. I'll mute my microphone so there's no clattering.
Okay. You can do the first name and I'll do the last name because I've got some Wooden Spoon Wargaming dice. Thanks, Wooden Spoon Wargaming, for these
nice.
Cool dice.
I got some of those.
Did you get a mug?
Absolute boss.
Did you get a mug as well?
Yeah, I did. It's a mug that says not paint water.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I can tell you flat out. That's definitely paint water.
Okay. So you can do the first name.
First name.
Yeah. So roll me a D66. So what? 2 units. Oh, that was clackery.
32.
32. So Toby's name is Garan.
Garan.
And then we got a 4 and a 5. So his name is Garan Vibova.
Okay.
Vibova. That's never ever going to be mispronounced, right?
Garan Vibova. Oh, Toby, Vibova. Anyway, so that's what the Grey
Brilliant.
Knights got. Dark Angels and Thousand Suns got some stuff similar. Thousand Suns got quite a lot more compared to the Dark Angels and Grey Knights, but we'll be going into that on episode 26, which is if you're watching, listening to the podcast, I said that will be out on Monday whilst I'm in Vegas. If you want to listen, if you're watching live, you can listen to that in the premium group next. So, Toby.
Yes.
Tell me some cool stuff you've seen. What are your favourite stratagems out of this book and why?
So, I mean, the first one that jumps to mind straight away is transhuman physiology.
Yeah.
Because the more important the unit, the greater the value of the 2 command points it costs to spend. And that just makes sense. If you do it on an 85-point strike squad, it's not as good as doing it on a 550-point paladin squad. And we talked about juiced up paladins, and that's basically the theme of this. Previously, the paladins that I played with did a lot of the shifting, a lot of the heavy work, and that is just going to be compounded by this new book. Well, this new supplement is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, should we just jump in? Akuna Matata, thank you very much for the Twitch subscription. You absolute legend.
What a hero! What an absolute hero! One thing to note is that, like I said before, the Dominus discipline. I'll just talk through the Dominus discipline now because these are all unique and brand new stuff.
Yeah,
you can only get them if you're a character, which is why I think it's important that you take. Well, we say as many characters as possible, but the cheapest one you can get is about 90 points for Grey Knight, so not great. Yeah. And just to touch on the chaplain as well, you have to pay a Terminator tax to have him, whereas with Space Marines you can get a cheap one that just does his litany and that's it. That's his role. But you have to pay a Terminator tax for Grey Knight. So the first spell in the Dominus discipline is Warp Shaping, which lets you change the tide.
Yeah, I think warp tide value
that
5
is absolutely critical, I think.
Yeah, 100%, and it's important that he doesn't die. So you have to play around that quite well because you could quite easily get caught with your pants down in the wrong tide, and then you're stuck with it forever.
Yeah.
So just to touch in on that, in case anyone hasn't seen what the tides and stuff are and how they work, I'm not going to tell you what each one does, but essentially you choose one tide at the start of the battle. You're in that. And then you can only change it by using this psychic power. So if you've only got this on one character, and a lot of characters can only take one spell, then you could be stuck in a tide you don't want to be. So you've got to have clever play with that as well.
Yeah.
From the outset, the tides aren't as strong as doctrines, but the benefit is they're fluid. That's not meant to be a pun, so ignore the pun. But you don't. It's not like a cycle. You can swap and change from one to the other. Which is a huge benefit because the biggest gripe with the doctrines is the fact that they are so rigid, and that's kind of why you see people stuck in devastated doctrine because if you go away from it, you can't get back to it most of the time, right? So
and it's also the first one you're in. Like you don't have a choice when you're starting. If you could start, if you could choose which doctrine you're starting, I think you'd see a lot of different build types. But because you start in heavy doctrine, devastated doctrine, then you just may as well spam heavy weapons because you benefit from the first turn. It's worth noting as well with the Dominus discipline is you have to take all of your powers from the Dominus discipline if you want to, rather than the Santic, so you can't mix and match. So unless, as Alec Hughes has just pointed out, just as I brought it up, so there is a Warlord trait that lets you take a power from the Santic tree. So could you choose Dominus and then take Gate or Sanctuary, or someone like Voldus who can do 3 powers? I imagine that's going to get FAQ'd because
do you think so?
I think
because I don't, because the Marine Team of Malkador, you can choose a power from a different discipline.
Can you though, or did that just get changed? I'm sure that just got changed.
Pretty sure it got clarified, so that's what you could do.
What I'll do is while you carry on talking, I will check that now, live on air.
So
Warp Shaping's brilliant, obviously.
Yeah, and that Warlord trait is Lawmaster, and it just says your Warlord knows 1 additional psychic power from the Sanctic discipline. But that might be because the wording, like Mikey said, it could be because the only discipline before was Sanctic discipline.
Fair.
So, I mean, we'll see. It'd be great if you couldn't. But the value of the Dominus discipline is still great. Armored Resilience is the next one. 1 infantry unit within 12 inches, sorry. Warp charge 6 again, so you're casting this on a 5. Really reliable. Just -1 to wound. A flat -1 to wound. No, this doesn't stack with Transhuman, but it's still great. It's basically the same in some situations, unless you're shooting at the paladins with strength 8 weapons, it's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly that.
And you're not really going to be shooting the paladins with strength 8 weapons most of the time. So it's almost like a free transhuman if they're within 12 inches, which is great. I think you should use that more than transhuman generally.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, they're both limited to infantry units, so they have the same restrictions in that regard. But that's amazing. Warp charge 6, -1 to wound. Huge.
It's enormous, yeah.
Ethereal manipulation. One friendly unit within 6 inches can re-roll if they're shooting in rapid fire or at half range. Re-roll hit dice.
Yeah.
Again, that's great. The interesting thing about that is that Terminators don't have to be at half range rapid fire, so you're not really going to get the value of that on Terminators. But if you want to drop, again, you can only put this on a character, which is the gripe with this spell. It's Warp Charge 7 as well, so slightly less reliable, but still fine. You have to roll 6 on 2d6, which is slightly less than average, right? 7's average on 2d6.
Yeah, exactly that.
But you need a character to be able to cast a psychic power onto a unit. A unit of 10 strike means this is great. But otherwise, quite niche and not with as much value compared to the others. Edict Imperator.
Skip over.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. If you had to not pick one, it probably would be that one.
Yeah.
Edict Imperator.
Just to quickly butt in about the Tome of Malcador. Apologies. So currently the Tome of Malcador isn't mentioned in the FAQ. I thought it was. It's the wording for that is it says the librarian can take 1 extra power they can take 1 extra power from a discipline they have access to. So then you have to question: do they still have access to both disciplines, or do they just have access to one when they choose to go on one?
It might have been the LVO Judges Rulings FAQ that I saw it in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Rather than anything official.
I know at Pro Tabletop, Nick Nanavati did the same thing with Iron Hands and Tome of Malcador. And they ruled against it. They basically said Tome of Malcador has to stay in the same tree. So currently it's not been FAQ'd. I thought it had already been addressed, but just to butt in that. So I imagine either it'll get left and then everyone will just do it, or it'll get changed to say they can take 1 extra power from the discipline they choose. Maybe
fair, whichever one they've chosen, essentially.
Yeah, that's what I think personally, but that's just my opinion.
Cool. Either way, it could be good.
For sure. I think, fortunately, with Grey Knights, it's not going to be that much of a problem because you have access to psychic powers with every single unit in your army. Whereas with Space Marines, you're limited to just that one unit. So it makes a bit more of a difference there.
Yeah, when every strike squad can take Gate, you need to take a wall trait to take an extra power on
exactly, and you can only cast it once.
Which exactly.
Is the big issue.
To spell
the next number
Edict Imperator. Yeah.
Psychic power number 4. This is the one that has the most debate about it. Pick a friendly unit within 12 inches. Warp charge 7. You can shoot then move. You can't move then shoot. You have to shoot first.
No.
And you cannot shoot again in the shooting phase or charge in the charge phase or the fight phase. Wait, is it called combat? Is the combat phase? I apologize.
It's the fight phase.
Oh, is it the fight phase?
You can't shoot and you can't charge.
Basically. But basically, you can't shoot.
And you're not allowed to advance as part of that move. So basically, you get a fire and fade in the psychic phase.
Yeah. You could fire and fade a Land Raider.
If you
wanted to, you could, yeah.
If you fail to cast Astral Aim so you can see through walls, you can fire and fade that guy.
No, you couldn't because
because you'd already be out. You'd already be out.
The second phase comes after the movement phase, so you'd have to cast Astral Aim first. If that fails, you have to gate it slightly in line of sight, and then shoot and move back.
Yeah. No, you can't do that because if it deep strikes, it can't move again unless it's charging.
Well, there you go. So
banter.
If you fail Astral Aim, you're screwed anyway. Basically.
Spell wars, everyone.
It sounds great. It sounds great on the outset. This second power, but I'm not entirely sure where the use would come.
Yeah.
This is at any point in the psychic phase, so you could shoot, move, and then smite something that's higher value. Let's say, for example, there's a demon prince with 3 wounds behind the screen of cultists. You can shoot the cultists, move forward, then smite the demon prince. So it has its uses. It's not going to be obvious where you use it, but when you do use it, it'll be like Eureka. I'll use it then.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just like a cheeky move. It just
plus
pushes
1 command point.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good, Imperium Domination, because
100%.
you're an army. Like your list, you said you start with 9 CP. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of the good strats that you're going to want to use at 2 CP, so you really only get 3. Because there could be other things you need to do as well.
Yeah.
So having that, I think, is pretty key.
I agree.
You can basically get back ACP every turn on a 2d6 roll of a 6+, because you've got your +1 to roll for being Grey Knights.
Yeah, and there's ways to increase that +1 to +3, which is pretty crazy. So, like Alec already pointed out, if you have a character that has an excess of psychic powers available to cast. Imperium Domination is great because, like Jay said, you want to be casting this every turn. You want to get that 1 CP for free. It's basically starting with 14 CP with the list that normally has 9, which makes a huge difference.
Good. Yeah, because you could just have a guy at the back who can cast 2 powers a turn, and he knows Imperium Domination and Warp Shaping, so he can be the guy that basically like, I'm not going to go into combat, I'm not going to be in harm's way, I'm just going to keep changing the tides when I need to, and give the rest of the army a command point. It's an expensive investment, but it's quite good, I think.
I think you're probably going to have to do that. The issue with that is putting all your eggs in one basket, but I'd be more inclined to do that than spread it, because you kind of, I wouldn't say waste. I don't think waste is the right word, but if you put them on 2 people, you can lose one pretty fast, and I think they're both integral.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But in the same vein, you could get shot by a unit of eliminators and die with both of them. So
yeah,
if you go too cheap with that guy, if you make him just a brother captain, he's just a dude in power armor with 4 wounds, he's going to die into a unit of eliminators pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to be careful with what you do with that for sure. And the final one is Inner Fire. Oh, Hadouken.
Inner Fire.
It's casting value 5. You roll the dice. You roll a number of dice equal to the warp charger, which you cast the psychic power on. For every 3 you roll, you do a mortal wound to the unit within 1 inch, so it's 1 inch range.
Every 3 plus everyone. Every 3 roll.
So let's say, for example, I roll a 12. I roll 2d6, get 2 6s. I take my perils, fine, but I've got +3 to cast. Now I'm rolling 15 dice. Every 3 plus, I do a mortal wound to the unit within 1 inch of me.
Really cool.
But every 1, I take a wound.
Yeah.
And you compare this with the Cuirass of Sacrifice, which is a relic, which is a 5+ feel no pain. Yeah, and if you want to be super obnoxious, you can use the Litany of Faith for 2. Wait, they don't stack anymore, do they?
They don't. No, you get to choose one, not both.
Oh.
So you really want to use the Litany and give yourself a bubble on it. Anyway, so use it for free. You don't have to use the.
If he doesn't happen to have that wallet trait, you can use the Litany. That's what he said.
It's a relic, but you do get new relics, which is great. You don't get new warlock traits.
No. You have Relics of Titan 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's the 6 new psychic powers in the Dominus discipline, and I think, barring Ethereal manipulation, they're all really, really good. Except Inner Fire, that's very niche. Apart from those 2,
yeah, I think Inner Fire is one of those ones like you get the Zench one where you just roll 9 dice and hope you see 6s and things like that. It's just one of those like, well, I've got nothing else to do and I have to have it, so why not? You know, I'd probably never pick it.
And I agree, because the likelihood of you being within 1 inch.
Yeah.
The combat phases don't tend to last that long with Grey Knights, purely because you do a lot of damage, but you can take a lot of damage as well. You just power armor Terminators. So if you're fighting something that's valuable, it's going to kill you, or you're going to kill it, and that's it. You don't stay in combat for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And even best case with that, where you do hit 15 as your warp charge value, which happens 1 out of 36 times.
Yeah,
it can happen.
You're going to do 10 mortal wounds to your opponent. You're going to do 2 or 3 mortal wounds to yourself. After your perils, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You know,
you're dead.
Your characters are too expensive to be doing stuff like that with. So
it's the ultimate martyrdom, though, isn't it? Straight into the wall, both of you, straight into the wall.
It'd be good.
As I mentioned before, there's no new warlord traits, which is kind of a shame. But first to the fray is rerolling failed charges, which has been the best warlord trait since the inception of the Grey Knight book in 8th edition, anyway. And the likelihood is you'd probably keep it anyway. It just makes that 9-inch deep strike way more reliable. But it's a shame we don't have more options, because there could have been some really interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I do note that they haven't give you Hero of the Chapter either.
No, they haven't.
Because, like you said, there's one warlord trait. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
It is quite surprising that there was no warlord traits. You got quite a lot, but the fact that it's missing warlord traits is like a big void, if that makes sense. It's quite. You can definitely feel that it's missing.
Sure, like I said to you guys, we got better overnight for free, so there's no complaints. But it would have been the cherry on the top, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like every other Marine chapter has received new warlord traits, new relics, doctrines, and then Grey Knights come along. They get everything but warlord traits. And
to be fair, though,
and their own type of doctrines. But there you go.
This is me, like standing on the wall and stuff like that. All of those are full supplements in their own right, whereas this is like a little diet version of that put into a supplement with other armies. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that it's not there, but it is a shame. It would have been nice. Just so you had variety more than anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
As Akuna Matata's pointed out, Grey Knight's got much more than Nids or Eldar or Dark Eldar. Which, we got a bit more than Nids. Eldar got quite
good.
They got good, yeah. They didn't really get any stratagems. They didn't get any warlord traits. And I don't think they got any relics, but they got
they got ignore, cover, and reroll hit, wound, and damage.
I think in that comparison, though, I think Nids are the other ones out because you could argue that Eldar and Dark Eldar didn't need this amount of love. Whereas Nids probably did.
Nids are probably they've got some good stuff. I think it's still going to take some time for people to work out exactly how to make them good, but they would definitely, after Blood Angels got super doctrines like right to the top, like they just left Tyranids and Grey Knights to be the two worst armies in the game, and now Grey Knights are looking very interesting. So it's very interesting.
There's going to be some builds where you can build around the tides a lot more effectively than what my list probably does, and I think it's going to take a lot of playing.
Yeah,
but
you're going to be like Tom Hanks at this rate, mate.
What do you mean?
Like Castaway, where he built a raft and rides the tide.
Oh, right.
Jay got it. You can see his face just creasing.
Just before we talk about some of the new stratagems, and obviously we've still got the old stratagems, we'll quickly run through some of the noteworthy relics.
Some of the go for it.
We'll nip into the stratagems.
Yeah.
So the first one, which is, I mean, the relics for Grey Knights have been pretty garbage for a long time. The best one's the Cuirass of Sacrifice, which is 5+ Feeling of Pain. Other than that, they just make you better in combat. The Banner of Refining Flames also very good for D6 mortal wounds on the Paladin Ancient, which is great because now surprise
if you combo it with the Brother Captain and all that lot.
Yeah. There's ways to make it better for sure.
Yeah.
But now you have a bit more choice, which is great. The first one that I think is great is the Sanctic Shard. You just +1 to cast and reroll faileds.
Yeah,
which is really good.
It makes you a better Farsi. It makes you Eldrad, basically.
Yeah, it's a bit too much. Like from a Grey Knight point of view as well, I think one or the other is absolutely fine. Put them both together, then it's a no-brainer. Considering you can get a command point back now with a spell that you're now going to be casting on a 5 rerolling, you'd pay 1 command point to get this every single day of the week.
Yeah, that's really.
It's going to pay for itself straight away, but it does mean that's almost an eggs in one basket kind of thing.
Yeah,
that guy's got to be a priority to keep safe for you for that.
Yeah, exactly. And all of the characters that I've chosen in my list either don't have access to a relic in Drago or only get access to 1 psychic power. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I've got rerolling cast and +1 to cast on a guy who can cast Smite and get me 1 CP. So it doesn't actually have as much value as you think.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that's going on someone who can cast 2 spells. But ideally, it'd be on Voldus, but he can't take it.
Yeah, I know, right? Voldus is going to be, I think, seeing a lot of use because of that new psychic discipline that you guys have got.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he went down in points in Chapter Brew to 153, which is
nice,
incredible for a turn.
Yeah,
with a Thunderhammer that ignores the -1 to hit.
Yeah, and can cast 3
spells.
Yeah.
So one of the relics that I think is interesting, but I don't know if you'll see it ever, only because you can only give it to a librarian, is the Artisan Nullifier Matrix. So this one is once per turn, when a psychic test is taken for a friendly Grey Knight unit in 6 of a model with this relic, you can increase or decrease by 1 the value shown on one of the dice.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you can prevent a perils and keep it. If you roll the double 6, you change one of the results to a 5, technically, so it's an 11, so it's still hard to dispel. But also you don't perils, which is cool.
Absolutely.
It is limited.
But you have to take a librarian.
You have to take a librarian, which you probably won't do as a Grey Knight because you don't need one.
Yeah. Do you think there's any play for librarians at all, Toby?
They can cast 2. I think some of them. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure you can take 2 psychic powers.
Yeah,
they can definitely cast 2, but I'm pretty sure you can take 2 psychic powers. Let me double check that.
But that's what I thought. I think they know 2 and can cast 2 rather than know 1 and can cast 2.
But like we just explained, if you're going to take someone who can take 2, you take the +1 to cast reroll failed cast, as opposed to just changing the dice roll.
Yeah.
Would you then have 2 librarians instead of other characters? I think at that point probably no.
Potentially, I mean they are only 101 points, which is
in Terminator armor.
Cheapest.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cheap.
It's one of the cheapest Grey Knight characters, and when you think about the utility you can have now with the Dominus discipline, it
Yeah.
might be worth taking these. I mean, an apothecary is 88 points with a hammer. That's what I have in my list.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For 12
But I
points
think you
more,
still take that.
I think you probably do. Yeah, I think you're right.
Especially if you play a
librarians-
list that's going to be very focused the way that you play, with
Uh-huh.
like pretty much over a quarter of your points invested into one unit of 10 dudes.
Yeah,
You need to get the most out of that, as you were saying earlier on. So you're going to have your apothecary, you're going to have everything else that can go with it to give it all the buffs it possible.
and that's before you start spending command points, because obviously command points are part
Yeah.
of your army as well, and the investment in command points in the Paladins is going to be through the roof now. So you have to bear that in mind. Another relic which I think is really, really good is the Ogorium Scrolls. When resolving attack, maybe the Nemesis. Oh, it's Nemesis weapon, follow a side weapon. But that could still be great. That could still be really, really good with Paladins, because you have 3 attacks base, 4 on the charge, 5 with a banner. So if you have a unit of 10, that's 50 attacks. Any unmodified 6 is an additional hit.
Which is really good.
You're going to get 8 out of that.
Exactly, and
8 extra hits.
And if you use some of the latest stratagems, bring it down. For example, on that night, let's say you have a Grandmaster near you with this relic. You're hitting on 3s, rolling 1s, and then you reroll on all failed wounds, and you do -3 rend and D3 damage.
Yeah, so bring down the beast is use this stratagem. Oh, that's shooting face. Is there another one for combat?
Is that shooting only? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that changes things a little bit. Which is a bit of a shame, but even still, it's great.
So just for context for those listening, bring down the beast is using your shooting phase. Way that when you're using shooting with the Grey Knight's army, select a vehicle or monster to the end of the phase. When resolving an attack, you can re-roll the wound roll. So sadly, you can't use that in combat. But it's still really good, you know. I said Ashtalamine, Las Cannons from Land Raiders and stuff like that makes them a little bit more. I mean, it's 2 CP, but I mean, it does make it more consistent, which is nice.
It's great for the bolters, which is what we kind of spoke about.
Yeah, exactly.
Off the podcast.
Yeah.
Apart from that, Blade of the Force one's great. +1 strength, -3 AP, 3 damage. No invulnerable saves allowed if you're fighting a demon.
I'm just gonna butt in with the going back to the Ogorium Scrolls, because of the way the meta's changing in the minute, and you've got stuff like possessed bombs and disco lords that are -4 to hit. For example, I believe your paladins are they hitting on 4s, for example?
No, 3s.
3s with the hammers, which is really so -4 you wouldn't be able to hit. Due to the way that the unmodified 6s count as an additional hit is worded, technically those 6s that wouldn't hit because you're -4 to hit, the extra additional hit does still hit, if that makes sense.
You'd basically be hitting on 6s, right?
Essentially, you hit on a 6, the 6 miss, but the additional hit hits because it's not technically a
and
dice
if you can re-roll, there's no reason why you wouldn't roll a dice anyway, because the 8s or 7s you need to get, obviously you can't roll that on a d6, but you can still try and then re-roll anyway.
Exactly.
Unmodified 6s.
But the reason that comes up, the reason it came up was the Imperial Fist, so they changed the way that worked. So now an additional hit doesn't count as any dice roll; it's just a hit. So something interesting. Just thought I'd bring that up. So. Sorry, Blade of the Force One.
Another great thing about Ogorium Scrolls is if for some reason, I don't know why this would ever come up, but if you find yourself in a Royal Rumble in the middle of the board, it's every Grey Knight unit within 6 inches of that.
Yeah, which is really good.
So the effect can be huge if you position yourself in a good spot.
Yeah.
Well, this is. I was going to bring this up much later on, so remind me to talk about aura distances when you finish the relics.
Because there's
a lot.
There's a stratagem in the old book which increases the range by 3 inches.
Yeah.
Or doubles it.
Really
it might double it, actually.
Doubles it.
Yeah, doubles it. Because Caldo Drago's reroll range becomes 12, doesn't it? So.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I'm sure Jay's going to talk about how much that is going to affect things. Okay, so Blade of the Force one's great. The use of it is kind of... It almost seems a bit overkill towards demons because you already do 3 damage with the smite. If you want to do 4 damage, you can do 4 damage smites.
With one of the tides, right?
With one of the tides, yeah.
Yeah, if you're playing against demons.
Yeah, and you didn't... I mean, they can come back from the warp for 2 CP or whatever it is, but you didn't really need the help against demons before.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have to come back at the end of the movement phase. And
yeah,
I don't think you need that against demons. but it's great against everything else.
Yeah, so basically, this Blade of the Forsworn, it replaces a Nemesis Forsword, +1 strength, -3 AP, damage D3. When resolving attack against a demon unit, an invulnerable save cannot be made, which is really cool. So it's just like, haha, I cut through your magic bubble of doom and stab you straight in the face.
It's fluffy.
It is
really
amazing. If you're fighting Magnus, you're already rerolling failed wounds anyway.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have 5 rerolling failed.
Magnus on Mortier,
And
just
that-
like, no!
And now he's got a 6-up armor save, and it's flat 3 damage. Like, what?
Yeah, it's just like bonkers. It's just really good.
Yes. That's what the Black Blade of Antwer should be. You know, the one that Castellan Crow carries.
Yeah, rather
right.
than
But it's
basically a
not.
stick.
But it's
The one
not.
and only Mark who's watching, so I'd be careful when you talk about Castellan Crow and how useless he is.
It is a demon
I'm
sword.
gonna carry a sword that doesn't even give me a +1 attack.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
carried it for the sake of it. I'm actually kicking everyone.
She
But
should
that-
have taken a chainsaw.
That's the new relics. Again,
Yeah.
from the outset, probably better than the previous set, and a great addition to a Grey Knight army. Like we keep saying, for free overnight. We haven't gone up in points for this. We went down in points at the last change anyway.
Pure banter for everyone.
So great.
Yeah.
Right, stratagems, boys.
Strats boys.
Yeah. But before we go on to this, there's a lot of stratagems here that have a sort of range that you have to have other stuff nearby. You've got relics that have to do that. You've got lots of auras. Grey Knights are an army that have got a unique maneuverability with things like gate. You've got your the jumpy dudes, the interceptors. They all sound the same.
Yeah,
Damn you, Games Workshop. You've
you
got
got-
all of these things.
Yeah.
Do you think that the army is going to become very static as a result of that, where you're having to go around it in like a big moving castle and forsake any of the maneuverability you have? Or do you still think you're going to be able to play with that?
A really good question. It will take a lot of play because there's, like you said, there's more auras now compared to what there used to be.
Mhm.
But I think that the strength that has always been the case with Grey Knights is the maneuverability. And I think if you get yourself into a position where you just trunch forward in this big castle, you will be picked apart by people that can shoot better than you.
Yeah.
And fight better than you, because
Yeah.
ultimately you're not the best fighter in the game, but you can be where you need to be when you want to be, and that is what wins you the game.
Yeah, that's the best thing the
Okay.
Grey Knights have, is they appear where you don't want them to be and then charge it and then get in your way. And then by the time you've dealt with
Yeah.
it, there's something else that's doing the exact same thing. It's like War of Attrition. It's only you just sending bodies in, wrapping so you don't get shot, maybe dying in combat because you've only got 1 wound, but you're absolutely slaying anything that you hit first because you're D3 and -3 and stuff like that.
Especially now with Shock Assault. Previously it was awful.
Yeah, it was
Because
like 5 attacks.
I had halberds because I think they looked cooler. And
Halberds
until
are
Shock Assault
awesome.
came,
Yeah.
they were worse. They were 100% worse than with the halberds.
Yeah.
And falchions were always better. When I went to No Retreat and had great success, it was with absolutely buckets of falchions.
Mm.
But now halberds are great, and instead of having just 6 attacks with that unit, you now have 11 attacks, which makes a massive difference because they're strength 5 -2 D3 damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
huge.
Which helps a lot.
We were talking about your maneuverability and things like that, and nicely does
Yep.
bring us now back into the stratagems.
Uh-huh.
Bringing power to a point is a very big thing for a Grey Knights army. Dynamic insertion is one of your strats, which is really, really cool. I like it. When you set up a unit of Grey Knights from the teleport strike ability, it's not gate or anything like that, it has to be from the deep strike.
Mhm.
You can set them up just more than 3 inches away from the enemy instead of just more than 9 inches away.
Mhm.
Now, on paper, that sounds really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But in practice, I'm not entirely certain it is.
Yeah, and I actually agree with you because the big implication is you can't charge,
Yeah.
which makes
That's
it
right.
a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There,
You're sat there waving it in the wind, essentially. You're not really
Yeah.
known for your ranged firepower at
Exactly.
less than 24. So
yeah, and from the outset you think, oh, that's great. That can be used to shoot a screen or shoot the next level of the screen. But then if you think about manipulation, Edict Imperator, that'll be better for that because you can shoot and then move and then you deep strike in or you gate something in that gap. Whereas this happens before Gate of Infinity because this will be in the movement phase, dynamic
That's right.
insertion, which is great. So you can deep strike, but you still can't shoot. This will be good for late game stuff when people have left too many gaps. They don't want to get shot. It probably be, the best place to use this will probably be with sniping characters when people leave gaps.
Yeah.
When you just deep strike a unit of 5, maybe even a unit of 10 strike marines, and just rapid fire into a character that's quite susceptible.
I might be talking rubbish, but It's just a question. Isn't there a unit that has a really good smite that's short range?
There is Purifiers. It does D6 damage.
Is it within 3? Is it more than? Is it within 3 or is it within 5?
It's within 6.
It's within 6.
Yeah.
So could you not
Yeah.
dynamic insertion a unit of Purifiers and then like
Mhm.
absolutely nail something with awesome smite and then Gate of Infinity into safety?
You can.
You could.
There's no reason why you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again
But
is
you
a
need-
great way of doing it.
That's the other
What's
way.
the
I can
range
fix...
on Gate?
You could take Gate on the Purifiers, but you can't cast 2 psychic powers.
Yeah. So you'd have to put a character near them to cast it or something, or another unit.
Gate is 12, and I'm pretty sure there is a stratagem in the old book where you can cast another psychic power. So you'd know Smite and Gate, you'd cast Smite, then you'd use the stratagem and then Gate away.
So
But that's a big investment.
It is, but that's the only use I can see with this stratagem.
Yeah, and
The
what
actual
happens if you roll
only decent
1
thing.
for the damage on the
Yeah,
Smite?
that's
Well,
right. Or you don't get Gate off.
Yeah.
I
But
think the
that
thing
is
I
a
can
good
see
way
for
of doing
this.
It's very situational, but that's the only use I can think, to be honest.
You can only
Yeah.
do that once as well because it has to be from this initial
That's right,
yeah.
teleport.
The other time you
And
can
then
use
after
it
that-
is on turn 3 to jump on an objective that's going to score you like 3 points or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
the
that
only
would be
other
the
one.
best-
I don't
best
know.
way to use
Yeah.
it.
For example, there's I think in chapter approved currently. There's the Scorched Earth mission. I think maybe could be wrong. The one where you can raise other people's objectives for D3 points. That'd be the only time you use it, probably.
I can figure in my head ways situations where previously I wanted to deep strike my paladins, but the 9-inch blocks were way too big for me to get them in a place where I need them to be. So this might be the difference between putting them out in the open and putting
Yeah.
them in terrain.
Yeah.
Just
so-
stops you getting zoned out quite
Exactly,
so
it
much.
just gives you a little bit more flexibility, and like Jay said, it looks amazing when you think about it. But then
Yeah.
when you put it into practice, you think, I don't really know where I'd do that. It's infantry. Well, it's not infantry unit only, but
No. But
No,
it's
just
just one of those things
high-grade
that
Ice units, so it could be
it's-
anything.
almost no really, really, really good applications of it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. As mentioned, Master Arcade, you cannot charge after using that strat. That's why it's kind of a bit hit and miss. If you could charge after it, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Oh,
We'd
yeah.
be like,
Yeah,
why
it'd
is
be-
this
it'd
not
be-
3 CP?
And it would be 3 CP.
Yeah.
So,
I would
would-
play free CP every single day
and
of
would-
the week.
yeah,
and put my
I would
paladins
deep
through
strike
the grenade
my
charge.
unit Paladins 3 inches away, deep strike it, and then turn 2 I'm going to do it with the Dread Knight because banter.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you can't charge after it. That's why we're having this conversation. So
Yeah, and interestingly, it doesn't supersede the deep strike rules either. So you can't do it in turn 1.
nope.
You still have to do it when you're going to do it anyway. You still can't do
Yeah.
it in your opponent's
So it's
deployment
very
zone.
situational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, nice to have that because previously we didn't have that. It was 9 inches away, and if someone had a 9-inch wappy stick and put it around their army, then you were screwed and you couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas now, if nothing else, it's going to make them think. I think people that you play against will overthink this more than the value of the stratagem,
Yeah.
Exactly.
which is good because it makes your opponent double think things.
yeah,
And
exactly.
you'll see them putting 3-inch gaps where previously it was 9, and then all of a sudden they've got less at the board, which is one of the reasons why you lose games anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
As I said, the benefit is if you don't cover a 3-inch gap around your characters behind you, you can drop in with 20 Stormbolt shots or something daft. So, which is gonna be decent. So, especially for your light armored characters.
speaking of Stormbolt shots,
Stormbolters!
It's just Fury of the Proven.
it will be Fury of the Proven, but it's not just
Mhm.
Fury of the Proven. It is Fury of the Proven, Bring It Down,
Yeah.
the Tide of Convergence, and Cyborg
Mhm.
Ammunition.
Oh my god, where's Tide of
Yeah,
Convergence?
so
Is that in
that's
here?
all the command points that your army has.
It is
So-
a huge investment. That's
so
5
one
CP
turn.
to do that.
At least you can get one
Yeah.
back.
It's effectively 4 CP because you get one back theoretically. But that means your unit of Terminators or Paladins will have 40, best case scenario 40. It's going to be less because you're going to take silencers in that unit more than likely.
Mhm.
But they will have 40 reroll and all failed hits, strength 6 Stormbolter shots that
Yeah.
are minus 1 AP and do 2 damage.
Yeah, and they're
And
hitting on
reroll-
twos.
Hitting on 2s, rerolling failed wounds against the vehicle or
Rerolling
monster of your
wounds,
choice.
so it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
failed if that makes a difference.
Yeah,
Which
perfect.
is always nice.
And people didn't think Stormbolters needed much love before when they were just rerolling hits with sideboard ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
But now
Yeah.
they're rerolling hits with sideboard ammunition
And
strength
rerolling
6
wounds.
-1 and 2 damage as well.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
bonkers. That is
So
absolutely bonkers.
It's brilliant.
I think the only time you
Like-
wouldn't, the difference for rerolling wounds or rerolling failed wounds is if you're shooting a Nemesis Dread Knight that you use transhuman physiology. But there you go.
You can't do that because it's non-vehicles only, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I thought he was a monster. My apologies. It used to be a monster, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Like a riptide. It
My
was really
apologies.
weird.
Yeah.
Let's not go into that debate.
It's a vehicle. This might be a good situation where using dynamic insertion is good, because if you find a gap where you can shoot whatever the hell you want with these stormbolters, you're going to use that gap and you're going to blow someone to absolute smithereens.
Yeah.
You'll have 3 Tech Marine gunners taken out every time with that.
And if you can do this in a way whereby you can deep strike within 3, and then be in range of Edict Imperator, clear out a massive hole in the middle, and then gate things into that hole, that's going to be a use of both Edict Imperator and dynamic insertion.
Yeah.
Because that unit that deep stroke 3 inches can then have psychic powers cast on them. One of them being Edict Imperator to shoot in the psychic phase and clear out absolutely everything.
Yes,
that is just going to be.
Won't be able to move though.
It won't be able to move. But that unit doesn't need
off
to. Exactly.
Earlier than you would otherwise have had it, which is
and it creates the gaps that previously wouldn't have been there in the psychic phase, which is really good. Especially if it's one unit with a massive footprint blocking everywhere, because you can shoot them 40 shots to one unit and that unit's dead 100%.
I like that.
Whatever.
I think that's pretty solid.
And then it can open the gap to smite the things you need to smite, and it's going to be sequential the way you play the psychic phase now. It always was anyway. But there's going to be a lot more focus on the order in which you cast psychic powers, which is great because it'll reward good players and be bad for bad players.
Yeah, as we saw it,
that was always the case.
I think it was the Warhammer GT final. You had Steph Robinson using 3 Dread Knights and 3 units of Strike Marines, and then loads of Custodians and Guard. But he was something that came up that was very interesting. He was deep striking stuff, smiting, and then Gate of Infinity straight after, because there's nothing that stops you repositioning twice. You can't move, but reposition is going to move.
It's not move, is it?
So you can deep strike, delete a screen with smite, Gate of Infinity, and then charge, because you'd be closer to whatever you want to charge, which is quite interesting. So,
which is great.
Yeah, it's just it's all about having the right sequence and using stuff like this to dynamic insertion and then move out of the way, for example, or just drop down, shoot the crap out of something, and then gate again, which is quite interesting. So,
definitely.
Another psychic power which is noteworthy, not psychic power, sorry, stratagem. A powerful adept is plus 6 inch range to smite or rites of banishment. Which I actually don't know.
It's actually better than that. It's 6 inches extra range on your psychic powers.
Okay.
If the unit has the rites of banishment ability.
Yeah, so it's all powers.
Right.
So that then becomes something.
Basically every unit except Purifies, I think, because I don't think unless their rites of banishment changes, I think it might be a different power. Let me just double check that.
But they have
6 inch range on every ability is huge.
Because of the way that 40k works at the moment, with things like adding and then multiplying, you would increase your range by 6 inches. So your regular Grey Knight smite goes from 6 to 18. 12 to 18. And then if you have the Brother Captain to double that would be a 36 inch range smite. For one mortal wound, admittedly, so it's not worth it. But
or 2.
Or it could be 2. It could be 4.
It could be 4.
Get him in the right corner and snap off Araman or whatever. But,
that's interesting.
That's
interesting.
Purified Flame and not the rites of banishment.
So
they don't have a 12 inch range, which is a shame.
I was going to say, for the doubling thing, that's a stratagem for aura abilities, is it not?
Yes, it is.
So it's interesting. Does the powerful adept count as an aura ability till the end of that phase? A range of his psychic powers. Unless I'm mishearing what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, pal. I may have started over my words there, but your psychic powers get increased by 6 inches for one Grey Knight Psyker unit from your army.
Yes.
But it is until the end of that phase as well, so you could chuck that on Voldus, and all 3 of his powers suddenly become a lot longer, and that's obviously pretty tasty.
It does make a difference.
I was just wondering how you got the 36 inch range smite, because you've gone from 12 for 18 for 1 CP.
It's from a Brother Captain.
Yeah.
It doubles the range of the smite.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
So previously it was 12 times 2, and now it's 18 times 2.
Yeah. I was basically just asking, 1 for myself and 2 so everyone at home understands as well, to break down how you get those abilities going off. So there you go.
Another thing which I think is great, it's annoying that it costs 1 CP, but finally Nemesis Dread Knights can shoot without the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. Big guns that retire 1 command point. A vehicle can shoot and move without a penalty. So you can deep strike and finally hit on 2s like you're supposed to,
Woo!
and not 3s. Everyone goes,
Woo!
is that BS3? You go, no, it's not. It's 2, but it never stays still. What the hell is the point in a Dread Knight that stands still?
Do you know what they should do? When they rewrite the codex, they should make them BS3 and they ignore the penalty.
Like,
How does a Land Raider ignore that penalty, but a dude who is a Grandmaster
who's
inside
running
a machine
on legs?
not shoot as well?
because
as
it's
a
a
Land Raider?
dude and not
On
the
legs.
power of the machine spirit.
He's on legs, right? Have you ever tried running and shooting a gun?
Have you
Okay,
ever run?
so-
Have you ever
went
drove
through
a
the edge,
car while
shooting
shooting a
guns,
gun?
going,
So, do Devastator Centurions ignore the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons? Yes.
They
or no?
also move 4 inches, dude.
Okay. Nemesis Dread Knights move 8 inches.
Okay, so if you want to
double.
move 4 inches,
Yeah.
we'll make Dread Knights move
Yeah.
4 inches, and then they can ignore the penalty.
Yeah, but they're twice as tall as a as a
Exactly.
Devastator Centurion.
Just think
So they
about.
should move twice
It's
as
all
far,
about
but then they
leverage.
don't-
It's all
No,
about
no.
leverage, right? The longer you are, the more likely you are to miss because you move when you move in. You like.
I mean, there's 2
Well,
arguments. to it as
before
well.
this conversation gets into a really
what they need is a
double
gimbal.
entendre kind of
They need
way,
a
I
gimbal
need
for
to
the
bring
side
us
cannon.
back to the point a little bit. So we started off with like what your army looks like currently, and we've obviously gone through the book
Uh-huh.
in a fairly like large amount of detail and brought out some combos and things there. How do you think Grey Knights will face now against some of the more sort of in vogue meta armies? So I'm not necessarily talking about your top end Space Marines, Iron Hands lists, and things like that, but the current stuff you'd see at an event. How do you think you'd get on now using the new rules you've got?
Again, a really good question. It's difficult to gauge that without really putting them on the table because I think every aspect of the army is, unless it's not kind of going to be benefit. Well, everything will benefit from the tide regardless. So regardless of which
Yeah.
one you pick, your army is better, just flat better.
Yeah, very much so.
Like
Toby is
I
salty
can't remember
about
if we
baby
said it-
carriers.
I can't remember if we said it on the podcast or just before, but certainly the Paladin bomb, which was the crutch for my army for the longest period of time, is hugely better now, and I actually don't see many things being able to take it out.
No.
Because a lot of the things that posed problems before are going to pose less problems because guess what? That unit with transhuman physiology also has a 3+ invuln save in combat, and if you kill any
Absolutely.
of them in combat, they're fighting back at you now.
Yeah.
And there's stratagems to reduce the incoming damage by 1. You've got the litany for the
Exactly.
feel no plate.
There is-
Feel no plate.
I feel no
Feel
pain.
no
If-
plates.
if the stars align, you could almost have another situation where I can't remember. Was it called a Death Star? I think it was.
Yeah.
But the list would be called Juiced Up Paladins. You just put every buff in the world on then Gate of Infinity them and hope they make a 9-inch charge.
Mhm.
Or you deep strike them 3 inches away with all the buffs on that last until your next turn,
Mhm.
and then just go deal with these now they're in front of you.
Yeah, big time.
Um,
Okay.
So will it compete against the Space Marines? I think if you stand still and they get to shoot you, you'll still probably
you're
die.
dead. Yeah, you're
But
totally
at least now you get cover all the time, and you can be -1 to hit with some of the things that are more important,
dead. Mhm.
Mhm.
which are going to help. But chapter masters don't care about -1 to hit, so that's almost a null point. And guess what? Imperial Fist ignore cover anyway, so he's still going to
Banter.
die to Imperial Fist.
Man,
There
who
you go.
played that faction, bro?
Basically, the summary is the stuff that used to beat you will still beat you. You probably beat the stuff that used to be a lot harder, and the stuff that
Mhm.
used to be on the same level as you have surpassed greatly.
Cool. That's a really good summation of the book.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's
I agree.
about it. You're going to stomp demons even harder. You're still going to get beat by Marines, and you'll probably have an okay time against some Knight players now.
Yeah,
So basically, nothing changed.
nothing changed.
Nice.
You're still terrible. You're
Nice.
still slightly overcosted, but you get more tricks before you die. Just to catch up with the chat. I said Toby is so salty about baby carriers, said Tom. He also says, I don't think Juiced Up Paladins will catch on. We need a snappier name. Eyes
Juiced Up
emoji.
Paladins will catch them. I'm
Juiced.
going to snip the Stormwater off every Paladin, put it on the
Yeah.
base, and put a cannon monster in the hand instead.
Yeah, we'll just call it
Brilliant.
Roids, Paladin on Roids. Warhammer Watcher says, this is the second stream for me to watch what's going on. This is a podcast about the Grey Knights, and now it's just about the Grey Knight supplement from Psychic Awakening number 4, which is a book that was sent to us earlier by Games Workshop, so thank you to those.
Yeah.
Akuna Matata says, I mean, Chapter Master does care about -1 to hit just a bit. It does, yeah, because your current Chapter Master is reroll failed hits currently rather than reroll hits.
My chapter master or chapter master generally.
Your Chapter Master.
Yours.
Hador,
Yeah,
Draco.
So mine does,
Yeah.
but I will not be.
Yeah, but-
Well, theoretically, I shouldn't be playing against Grey Knights anyway.
Well, you will,
Yeah.
because you'll both be on the bottom table. So
How did you do Amsterdam, Jay? What was that?
Oh.
yeah,
No,
how
I'm
many
only joking.
Disco Lord lists did you play?
I played one at the end.
Yeah, I played all of them.
Oh, absolute savage.
Look,
Skurz,
I'm super excited to get them on the board. They are better
Okay.
than they used to be.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of things emerge.
it should be interesting because you and Danny played Grey Knights versus World Eaters on Hellstorm Premium a while ago, and now you've both had a supplement.
Mm.
I still hold to this day that I only lost that game because I was
'Cause
recording.
you're a silly bugger. You're a silly bugger. So I'm gonna make Danny film
Wow.
it, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if Danny films that, I will wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Trust
exactly.
me. Also, by the way, another gripe about this battle report, which completely off tangent, but he has a 4+ a 4+ invuln on his Leviathan, and I have a 3+ invuln on my Grandmaster
No,
Nemesis
he
Dread Knight.
doesn't. Oh, you mean in combat?
Oh, the
In combat, yeah.
Contemptor.
Yeah.
Oh, was it a Contemptor?
Yeah.
Even worse, less points. Tragic. I was about double his points. He passed all of his 4-ups. I failed 4 3-up invulnerable saves
Yeah,
and
he did.
died.
Spoiler alert, you should watch that battle report. It's actually quite funny.
Yeah. But anyway, that's sort of a tangent. Grey Knights are great. Everyone go buy some Grey Knights and let's all be friends together.
Yeah, exactly.
Quality.
So it's a really good supplement. It does definitely put Grey Knights in the right direction, I think. I said
Yeah.
the
Very much so.
people who are playing Grey Knights casually will have a better time now, and the people who are trying to play Grey Knights competitively will also start catching more people off guard, I think. People like yourself, people like Steph Robinson, Robertson. Is it Robertson? Not Robinson. Steph Robertson. He's a really good dude. I played him at it was the Spring Offensive, yes, at Element Games in spring, which is really good. He's a really nice dude. He's a really good player, albeit a dirty super. But there you go. You have to sometimes.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't now. I don't think you will. I'd be interested to see what he plays actually. But...
Yeah, you only can't if you want to take the tides, right? So if you soup, you don't get the tides, but you do get everything else.
That's right. But
before I confirm,
that's such an enormous benefit to lose.
Yeah,
like I can understand Marines losing a super doctrine here and there to soup in different Marines, but I can't understand a Marine player losing doctrines, for instance. And this is almost the equivalent of it. So
I agree with you as well, Jay. But I also think that the value of Grey Knights in a soup has just gone through the roof. You'll probably see a soup list somewhere just with a Paladin bomb.
Yeah, you're talking about other players bringing in Grey Knights, I suppose, aren't you? Rather than a Grey Knight player bringing in something else.
Yeah, for sure. So you'll probably see a Librarian with the Dominus Discipline and probably even Drago with a Paladin bomb.
Yeah.
Because you can get +1 CP in any army you want. It's not going to be refunded CP either.
Yeah.
So you can do that and still have Master Strategist, something like that, Grand Strategist.
Yeah.
So you can get CP back in that way because it's not regenerating.
Well, even auxiliary support detachments.
Yeah, you have just a Librarian in the corner just doing it, yeah.
Yeah, so one Libby for 100 points that you spend the CB on getting that auxiliary support.
Mm-hmm. You gain 4 CP for 100 points.
I had to sneeze and I almost got my sentence right to the very end. Yeah,
Thank you very much for the follow, Warhammer Watcher.
4 CP, yeah.
And you can do it cheaper. You can do it for a brother captain. Stick him in the corner and just cast.
There you go.
Empiric domination. Every single turn.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really interesting.
So yeah, I hope we don't see guard, a knight, and a paladin bomb because that would be very upsetting.
Yeah, I should just say, just to confirm, you only do lose the tides. So of all the things in the book, if you take pure Grey Knights, you get everything. If you take a Grey Knight detachment, you get everything but tides. So being the army-wide benefit. So I mean, your tides are good, but it's not like you lose everything from the book by souping. So it does make things quite interesting.
The gripe with soup as well is that you never had the tides before, so you're not losing anything in that regard, but you're gaining so much in the new stratagems and psychic powers.
Yeah. Tide pods, says Mikey. It should be Tide Paladins. Yeah. So, because we've basically only spoken about Grey Knights and we're coming up to our over an hour mark, obviously we did start a couple of minutes late, we'll jump straight into the premium group questions for the end of it. We'll skip on the LVO predictions and we'll save that for the next show. So I apologise at the beginning. I'll add a little addendum or amendment to the beginning. So basically, the premium group questions are Grey Knight related, Toby. So I'm going to keep hold of you if that's okay.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
good questions too.
Yeah. So I said we'll save. We've got 3 questions. It's actually just become 2 because we'll save the first one for the next show. Regarding Vegas. So we have a question from Alec, who's actually watching on Facebook right now, so thank you for tuning in, dude. The question is, on a scale of Castellan Crow's smiling pile of poo demon swords to the Lord Almighty Drago himself, how excited are you for Psychic Awakening, Toby? So from Castellan Crow's smiling pile of poo demon sword to the Lord Almighty Drago himself.
I would say Grandmaster Baldur's level, so 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
That's good.
Fair.
That's good.
The only gripe is the Warlord traits. That's the only thing that I think is bad about this book.
It's a bit of a shame that they went extra. I mean, as I said, like you look at the Dark Angels, they got Warlord traits, relics, stratagems, everything else. They actually got 9 Warlord traits, I think, because they got 3 normal ones, 3 Deathwing, and 3 Ravenwing ones. I'm just going to confirm that.
I don't think you'd not choose First of the Fray.
Oh no, they only got 6. I apologise.
But they got 6, but they had the reprint Vanguard ones.
Yeah, that's
the rest is huge. If you're a Grey Knights player, get hyped. BDE in the room. It's a good time to be alive.
Yeah,
really good time to be alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, dude.
Jay, do you want to ask the second question?
Yeah, we've almost answered this one already, actually. So with the new Grey Knights, this is from Rich Crosby. With the new Grey Knights content, what do you think of a small Vanguard force attached onto a larger Imperial force? Is it worth it? And my original thought was no, that you'd lose the tides. I was thinking more of having a Grey Knights army with a small attachment rather than an army of something else with a small Grey Knights attachment. I think having one as a command point farm isn't a terrible idea. He's an untargetable character. You chuck on an objective, and he just sits there making command points rain from the sky, and off he goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that there's probably a little bit more to it as well, depending on the thing with soup and the thing with inserting a force of something into another force is you have to fill a niche that's previously not filled. So let's say, for example, if you want to take a unit of 10 Strike Marines is 170 points, which is expendable in a soup because you have a lot of access to a lot of different things. So let's say you do that 3 times. Well, you could do it 3 times, but you won't get all the value of it. But you do that 3 times, and you take, let's say, a Grandmaster, just a cheap tax. So you've got the CP farm, and then you've got 3 squads of 10 Strike Marines. Every single turn, they can deep strike 3 inches away, and you can use cyber ammo on them. So you have 40 Stormbolter shots, 3 turns in a row. It'd be 2 turns in a row because you can only do it 10-2 and 10-3.
Yeah.
But you could have 40 Stormbolter shots shooting whatever you wanted at strength 5 -1 damage, 2 turns in a row in a soup, which will not cost you much. It'll be 100. It's
540 points worth of stuff plus a character if you do 3
plus a character. So let's say it's 600 and something points. To have +1 CP every turn, and then this absolute Stormbolter bomb out of nowhere.
Yeah. And if you can pump enough CP into that, then it's just going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with as well. And
let's say you have a knight, and then the rest is guard.
Yeah,
and you can do that affordably because you'll still have 1,100 points of guard, which is plenty. And you've got a bloody knight, so
yeah. I mean, you'd end up with you could still take a brigade of guard for some CP, a single knight, but at that point the knight almost becomes where you want your CP to go out, rather than the Grey Knights. So.
And you could also argue that was available before and nobody did it, so it must not have been the most efficient way of doing it. What I probably would say you'd see is just a Paladin bomb because they're a lot better now with Transhuman and things like that and Master of Combat.
Yeah.
But I am going to wholeheartedly say don't soup Grey Knights, try them on their own, and then make your own mind up.
Fly the flag first, and then if you want to chop it up and put it in your pocket.
Also, playing pure, I think, is a good way of really, really exploring your codex fully as well, because you 100%. Absolutely have to wring everything out of it.
Chisel it. I must have played hundreds of Grey Knight games before I got to the list before. I'm going to have to do that all over again because there's way more stuff to do. But
it just changes things up, which is great. It makes more things look viable, which gives you a chance to try them out, I guess. Change things up a bit, because you've been playing that list for quite a while now. I said you've gained some points in chapter approved, but like your Grey Knights list has looked the same for the past 6 months.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So it lets you try stuff out. I mean, if it does end up being the same list, at least you've tried things out and you've learned that. But hopefully it won't be. And if not, it'll only be better.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I think that's the end of the show. Is there anything you want to add, Jay?
No, I'm absolutely buzzing to see the new Grey Knight stuff in action. Actually,
Yeah.
I think there's some things it can really do that will take a few people by surprise to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Anything you want to add, Toby? Final thoughts? Final closing
I
statement?
don't think so. I think for
You've
a lot of people that don't like
definitely
Grey
said
Knights,
it.
we've expended the
Ran out of goodwill.
yeah. We've said a lot about Grey Knights, so I think people will be like, "Can you stop talking about Grey Knights?"
It's all right. We're
But
going
yeah.
on to the Chaos Marines next, which will be the Dark Angels, obviously.
I have a warp wide on for Grey Knights.
Warp
so-
wide on. Fantastic.
But no, it's been great. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast again. And
Always,
it's been
my
great
dude.
to talk about my pride and joy Grey Knights.
Yeah.
So
Thank you very much for coming on.
Awesome
Hope
stuff.
everyone enjoyed listening to Toby talk. As I say, it's been a while since he's been on the podcast, but obviously we had to get him back for the Grey Knights chat. So I do hope you enjoyed listening. If you enjoyed watching it live, then thank you very much. If you subscribed, amazing, thank you. I'm not going to go into too much about the drama that's happened on Twitter with a particular streamer who is complaining at her fans for not subbing within an hour, which is just bonkers. But if you want to support the podcast, then again, you can watch live, you can listen back. We are on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and Podbean. If you want to find us on Podbean, you have to search Hellstorm Wargaming with no space, I found out yesterday. Because your name is very much character limited. So Hellstorm Wargaming with no space. Otherwise, there are links in the YouTube description below, or you can just search us on iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud. Hellstorm Wargaming should come up. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Hellstorm_Mikey. I do lots of ranting there, which is great. You can follow the Instagram, Hellstorm Wargaming. Jay, want to plug your socials, please?
Absolutely, it's at Mohawk Miniatures everywhere: Facebook, Twitch, and of course Instagram. Live on Twitch 3 nights a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday from 9 o'clock UK time. Hopefully, we'll see you there.
Very good, very good. Yeah, it is a good show. I'm gonna have to catch up on the oil painting that you did yesterday, which looked pretty cool.
Yeah, Tank was having a good time with that today, apparently.
Yeah,
good for
really
him.
Nice. And Toby, where can they find you if you want to?
For all things Grey Knight / Age of Sigmar related at the minute, you can catch me on Twitter. It's Hellstorm_Toby.
Wonderful.
Yeah, regular updates from the events I attend. There's a lot of 40k coming up as well, so tune into that.
Yeah.
Me and Tank will be heading over to Amsterdam in February again for the Iron Man event, and I'll be debuting the new Grey Knights there. So if you want to see how it goes, tune in.
Fantastic,
it's in about a month's time. So
amazing.
Watch out for that.
Amazing.
Good
So
luck,
there you
buddy.
go. So if you want to follow us, you can
Yeah.
find us there. If you want to join the conversation, as you saw, we had some premium questions at the end. We were doing that at the end of every show. If you want to join into that, you can subscribe at hellstormwargaming.co.uk. You do get extra battle reports when I'm not painting for the rest of my life, which will be just after Las Vegas Open. I'll be back on the battle report game train, which will be really fun. But you can also join in the Facebook community group, which is www.facebook.com/group/Hellstorm Wargaming Premium Community. There is links in description on YouTube and iTunes and all that, all that stuff. If you want to support the podcast, as I said, all we ask is listen. That is absolutely amazing. If you want to support financially, you can join on Hellstormwargaming.co.uk, become a silver or gold member and get extra battle reports and get access to the group. You can also do the same on Patreon. And you can also support Jay directly by going onto his Twitch, watching his painting streams, saying hi, and then getting all the emotes and doing the things on Twitch sub. Obviously, we do appreciate Twitch subs here as well. We do have some emotes, which is really cool. But obviously, Jay, support him directly if you want to. So
Thanks a lot, guys.
Peace.
Peace, guys. I was just going to say, Nick says you're painting for your life. Yeah, I'm kind of painting for LVO, right? I've got like a day left.
You know nothing. I was born with the paintbrush. You merely adopted it.
You want me to leave?
Thank you very much, guys, and we'll hear you. You'll hear us next time.
Peace out, everyone.
And if you're watching live, we're going to go offline for like 10 minutes, and we're going to go live in the Hellstorm Premium group because we're going to record episode 26 because I'm going to be away on Monday because I'm actually in Vegas. So you can listen to us live even longer, and we're going to talk about Thousand Suns and Dark Angels. So thank you, everyone, and good night. Maybe.
See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.